Guys, oh my God, what is happening to Bitcoin? It has gone down all the way below $60,000 just like an hour ago. And let's talk about what has happened. And I'm sure a lot of people are very much surprised and shocked, and of course thinking that everything is ending, Bitcoin is going to zero, and that is always the case in every bear market, and that usually indicates the end towards the bear market when everyone starts capitulating, when everyone starts believing that this is the end for Bitcoin, that it was all a scam. And that is when you know that we are close to the end, and that is actually a good time to start buying Bitcoin soon. Well, let's talk about it. So Bitcoin, of course, quick recap for everyone who's new: rejection from the 200 simple moving average line, bear flag, breakdown. We had the breakdown right here, and that's enough for the recap. So Bitcoin, what's happening? We obviously broke down, and I previously said that we might actually retest this level. This was my first level to retest, the bottom of this kind of bear flag area, which if we look at the 4-hourly, we can actually see that we had some sort of support here, but we cannot see that support on the daily. You see on the daily, it looks like we just went straight down. But if you look at the 4-hourly, you can see that there's a green candle and that we did find some sort of support. And that's why it is very important to actually look at the smaller time frames as well. Because on the larger time frames, it looks like we just went straight through. Well, anyways, then I said, okay, fine. We didn't find support here. We might find support at this level here, which is support right here, and also kind of the bottom of the candle right here. Again, it looks like we had no support. Let's look at the 4-hourly. And again, perfectly predicted this support. This somewhat acted as support for a couple of hours, but really it doesn't matter. It didn't really act as support. And now I think, let's remove these lines, I think that the support is at the bottom of this candle. So this was actually the low that we created all the way on the 6th of February of this year. And looking here at the 4-hourly again, this looks like it's acting as support. We had a green candle. We have gone just below this level, which is approximately this $60,000 level. So Bitcoin actually went all the way down to like $59,800. And I personally think this could be a support level. I mean, usually Bitcoin doesn't go down straight in a straight line forever. I mean, yes, last time we broke down from the bear flag pattern, we went down in a straight line, found support eventually, and created another bear flag pattern. I think this could be acting as support potentially, but I would not be surprised if we go down further. Now, in order to look at support, there's not much support actually left below us right here. And you can see there's not much support left below. So we have to go back in time quite a bit to see where's previous levels of support or resistance. And looking at the current line here, $60,000, have a look at this line, which I think will act as support. Looking back, I just extrapolated the line backwards. It actually also acts as support previously. So you can see right here, the same line has acted as, let me draw it out here, somewhat support right here, support right here, support right here, support right here, somewhat of resistance like here, and then again resistance here and support right here. So you can see that it's actually quite a significant line, and that's why I think it could act as strong support at the current levels. Now, if we break down further, I think the next level, major level, is this level, which is the $53,000 level, which is acted as resistance and also support at these kind of levels. And that could be achieved much later, and that could also be most likely a bottom towards the bear market, in my opinion, because $53,000 could be a bottom. Of course, we could have a flush out towards much lower levels and then go much higher, but I think this could be the levels that we find support at, just based on our analysis here. And looking here also at the weekly averages, the 300, 200, and the 300 and also the 350 weekly averages lines. So they have previously acted as bottom zones in the bear market. So in the last bear market, we found a bottom. Let me go back to the bear market before that. We can see here we found firstly a bottom, of course, on the 200 simple weekly moving average. And then during COVID-19, we went all the way down here to the 300 weekly moving average line. Then in the last bear market, we went down here, first of all, to, of course, the 300. And then we had also the crash, the FTX crash right here, which brought us all the way down to the 350 simple moving average line. And therefore, I think right now we will also most likely find the bottom within this area. Right now we're retesting the 200 weekly moving average line. The 300 will be at approximately $53,000, $54,000, and then the 350 will be approximately $47,000. So most likely we'll find a bottom somewhere in that area. Looking here at Bitcoin, of course, we broke down from our ascending wedge, rising wedge pattern. We created a lower low and then eventually went down. Right now retesting the lows of this pattern, the very lows of this pattern. And looking at the liquidations, there was over $1.5 billion of liquidations in the last 24 hours. Of course, most of them were long liquidations. And this is more than the October 10 liquidations, just to keep that in mind, with immense amount of liquidations. And I'm very much surprised how we have $277 million of short liquidations. I mean, these are people who are shorting the market, who got wrecked on their positions because Bitcoin moved up, while Bitcoin actually moved down tremendously over the last couple of days. And this just goes to show how there are stupid people trading with immense amount of leverage. The only way someone can get liquidated on a short position when we are going down anyways is if they use a very high leverage. And that's why it's super important not to use very high leverage. For example, if you use 100x leverage, if Bitcoin goes just in 1% in one direction, you're going to get liquidated. You're going to lose 100%. And therefore, I personally think less than 10%, ideally around 5% to be safer. And of course, only if there's a good opportunity. Now, STRC, which is the kind of stable coin that MicroStrategy has, which is usually at $100, has dropped to $92. And this coin that they produce is basically giving 10-11% interest, and it is pegged almost, it's at $100. They try to keep it at $100, but because of the high volatility in Bitcoin, it has dropped. Just goes to show that Bitcoin is very volatile and MicroStrategy is also somewhat at risk. Now I want to talk about, like I said, where Bitcoin might see a bottom, and we have to look at the major buy orders. So we have a lot of buyers, massive buy orders between $55,000 and $60,000. You can see these right here. And compared to, of course, the buy orders above that, the sell orders, we don't have as many. So we have a lot of buy orders below this price, and that just suggests that we might see a bottom in this area. And I think we could see a bounce from here, go a bit higher. And looking here at this chart, this can predict what will happen most likely. So $60,000 right here, which we have reached. This chart is a bit outdated, a few hours. We might see a bounce back to $62,000. Just as a recap, $62,000. Let me go on the weekly. 62,000 right here has been a support zone, and then also we have $66,000. So just have a look at this, guys. Either we bounce back up here to 62, or if we bounce higher, we can go to like $66,000. But I think we most likely will see a bounce here from the 60s to like the 62, 63. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll just be trading a bit sideways and then eventually going further to the downside. As of course, I think we're going to find a bottom closer to October, because Bitcoin usually takes 12 months to reach the bottom. Now, this thing I found very funny. This guy said, I wasted 5 years of my life because Bitcoin 5 years ago was pretty much the same price or even higher than it was right now. And if you take into account inflation, of course, Bitcoin at $62,000 right now is way cheaper than it was at $62,000 5 years ago, because it lost value, right? The dollar lost value. But why am I showing this to you guys? Because no, you did not lose 5 years of your life. If you understand the cycles of Bitcoin, Bitcoin always follows 4-year cycles, and you can make use of these cycles by longing in the bull market and by shorting in the bear market and by selling and buying at the right points in time. We all know that Bitcoin goes in cycles, and I am absolutely not surprised that Bitcoin is going down right now. And I think it will go down further. And if it goes down further, that's fine with me, because I am expecting it to go down further. And that is actually a massive good opportunity for us to start buying and potentially opening long positions. And therefore, if you understand Bitcoin, you have not wasted 5 years of your life. I know this is just a funny meme, whatever, but just to make you guys that point very clear. And finally, it gives a brief overview quickly to run you guys through. We have accumulation zones for Bitcoin, and during those you want to be buying Bitcoin. We have right now entered the accumulation zone, which has historically been an area where we can make good profits buying from. We have, of course, the top of the bull market, which is where we want to be selling. And then on the way down, the same thing happened as last time. We have a first consolidation, and then we have a second consolidation, and then we enter the accumulation zone. If we look here at Bitcoin on the daily, I want to show you guys the same thing right here. We have the same thing happening. So have a look at this. We have, first of all, the accumulation zone towards the bottom. Then once we start going down, 1 second, let me find the last bull market. This is on the daily chart, so I have to zoom a bit out. Let me go on the weekly so you can see it a bit better. You can see here on the weekly, we have our first accumulation zone in the bear market, which is right here. Then we have our second consolidation zone, and it is very clearly this, in this bear market, it's very evident we have 1 and we have 2, and then we eventually enter our accumulation zone where we kind of find a bottom, and then we go back up from there. And that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for the massive support. I really appreciate it, guys. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.